Okay, so today we're just going to be covering color theory. So color theory is very important for when you guys are like choosing what colors to create a website with. So today we're just going to go over some like basics on that and to help you guys choose good palettes for like your midterm and then eventually like your personal project at the end. Um, so we're just going to start off with some basic terminology. So first we have hue, value, and saturation. So hopefully some of these words are a little familiar to you guys. So hue is what colors are. So here we have like a little panel from like Photoshop that has like hues on the right side in that bar that go from like red to red. And then you'll see that like it goes to magenta, purple, blue, lighter blue, green, yellow, orange. And that's like what hue is. So when we're talking about color, we're talking about hue. Value is how bright a color is. So in the like big box, like the big square next to our hue bar, you can move around like the color picker to change the value of the color that we're using. So if we're higher up on the scale, then we're going to have a brighter color. If we're lower, then we're going to have a darker color. And then next we have saturation, which is how intense a color is. So this is our left to right scale, or our horizontal scale in that same box that we were talking about earlier with value. And so, yeah, again, it's like more saturated on the right and less saturated on the left. And then so you'll see that in the top left corner and the bottom right corner, we have like basically white and basically black. And so like those are going to be like our extremes of our scale. So we make shades by adding black, and we make tints by adding white to color or to our hues. And so here we have like a nice animation to help us like visualize saturation and I don't know, just like shades and tints and like working with saturation and all that. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So how do we know what colors to use? Like there's so many colors. How do I choose a set of colors for my website? So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. And here another animation is helping us like visualize like where our primary, secondary, and tertiary colors are on a color wheel. So usually when we're choosing pictures or choosing colors, we want to choose either complementary, triadic, or analogous colors. So complementary colors are colors that are across from each other in a color wheel. Triadic colors are colors that are like in a triangle away from each other. So like if you'll see in the image, we have a triangle that's being created by like an orange, darker red, and a blue. And so like in some like color theory, like that like creating a triangle in a color wheel will make colors that go well together. And then we have analogous colors, which are colors that are next to each other in a color wheel. We also have, I cannot see. We also have, wow, I cannot see. We have more options like monochromatic, so like that's just choosing from one hue and then changing our saturation or our value. We also have tetradic, which is like creating a square in a color wheel instead of making a triangle, and it goes by like the same like logic as creating a triangle in a color wheel. It's just that those four colors would happen to go with each other. And then we have split complementary. So like this is choosing two colors that are like more analogous to each other and then creating like a more narrow triangle to choose the opposing color. So that the opposing color in our case right now would be orange. And then that orange would be like used for like potentially like, oh, like highlights of a website. Whereas the rest of it would be like dominantly in the other two colors that are more complementary to each other. So here's one of the websites that, like, here's a website or resource that you can use to choose colors. So here it shows like different saturations and values of certain colors, and then you can like play around with like the like the value and saturation, and it also provides you with some sample templates or sample color templates at the bottom. There's also Coolers, which is personally my favorite website. They're like UI is like pretty nice. And it also lets you create like palettes and generate random palettes. And then like just like keep randomly generating palettes until you find something that you like. There's also gradients.io if you like more like gradient like vibes. So like some people like really prefer having like distinct colors, whereas like gradients are more smoothed out and then also like give you more analogous colors, I would say. So let's just put together everything that we've learned so far. So here's another color wheel, like another rendition of a color wheel that shows off hues, tints, tones, and shades, and also just like how they like vary between each other. So yeah, let this like sink into your mind. Remind yourself of like what hues, shades, tints, saturation, and value are. Okay, so colors also like convey a lot of emotion. And so sometimes you just go off of vibes when you're trying to like make a website with color. So red is a very emotionally intense color, and we usually like to think of like, I don't know, like when you think of red, like what are some words that come to mind? It can be anything. Yeah. Yes. Fire, passion. Any other words? Yeah. Yeah, sure. Blood and violence. Yeah, and so like those are like some like great like um things to like, or not like great but like these are like words that like come with a connotation of red. And so um like when we're thinking of like DoorDash, for example, they use red for like, I don't know, like the passion of food, or like like feeling like a very like strong urge to like consume, I guess. And so that is also like part of like DoorDash's brand of like red. So we like to use color for important actions in UX, to express like strong or bold emotions in design, or we like to use red for strong, bold emotions. Like for example, like when you have like a red button and it's like, do not press the red button, but it's red, so I want to press it, you know? So like think of using like red or like other colors that are like red. I want to say like orange red or like bright orange, kind of like that. Then we also have blue, which is like a very like reliable and calm color, kind of like water, to oppose fire. And it's just like a color that is like a lot easier on the eyes and is a lot more like soothing to look at, I guess. Um, and yeah, it's like screams trust, or not screams, calmly suggests reliability and trust. And so when we think of like Zoom and Visa and PayPal, these are like colors that are associated with these companies. And like you would want to trust these companies that have access to like your money or like your security. Yeah. Then we have yellow, which is like a bright and creative color. And so uh, we think of yellow when we think of like trends and like trendiness because it's so like bright and eye-catching. And so like for example, we have MailChimp and Amazon and BuzzFeed, to like kind of give as an example for the usage of yellow in design. And so like with Amazon, like our checkout button is yellow, and so it's like eye-catching. And so you're, oh, I can just like click it and then it'll be at my front door. Yeah. So let's just like move on to like some practical applications and tips in web design. But also I would encourage you guys to like think about like other examples of websites that use like, I don't know, like green or purple, and like think of like, oh, like what kind of vibes do those websites give off? And yeah, just like think about it. Like, I don't know, just now I thought about green and I was like Google Sheets, Excel, I don't know. So like just like think about it a little bit more. It's like a fun little brain exercise. Yes. Do you think it's like subjective, or do you think it's like an objective answer for what each color goes off? It's definitely subjective. I think, like for example, like red, we like talked about like passion versus like warfare. And so like it's very much so like within a context usually. So like I think that's where like it becomes a little objective because of context. But like individual users have personal experiences, and so like their interpretations of colors would be different. Um, this kind of like comes into like, I don't know, like literary analysis, like when you have colors, because like colors can mean very different things, like war versus love. I mean, like, I don't know, you know? So it's very subjective, but I think generally colors give a pretty consistent vibe. Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. So let's move on to some practical applications and tips. So first, we want contrast to be something that you guys keep in mind when you're creating your websites. I think we talked about this earlier, but contrast is a measure of the difference in perceived luminance or brightness between two colors. So this animation is going through like two very, not two, but like very different brightnesses and like variations in color right now, and like some of these are definitely like very hard on the eyes, right? They're like super bright and there's like no contrast to let your eyes like relax a little bit, and some of them are a little like too dull, and so there's no contrast to like help your eye understand where to like concentrate, and so we want to focus on that. And so one of the effective ways to check if you're using like proper contrast in your website is to desaturate your colors so that they're like very like they're in the same like plane of saturation, and then you can see if you're using enough contrast. And this also, oh yeah, so we want to compare our grayscale values, and so in this animation you can see the comparisons of color versus grayscale, and you can see how different the colors are to this backing color, to the background color in contrast. And so with this example, it's like not that much contrast, but in this one it's a lot stronger. And so we want to have a greater contrast between our main items and our background colors so that, I don't know, so we can talk about accessibility and like ensuring that like if a user is like, for example, like colorblind, then they can still access the website. Also, no one actually uses pure black, so do not use pure black. Try to use a lighter black, because when we're using pure black and we're looking at like pure black for like too long, our eyes get strained, and so people like stop like reading every single word that is on your website. So try to avoid that and go for like a very, very dark gray. If you wanted to be like a little like quirky, you could like do like a really, really dark like other color, like really dark red, really dark blue, but make sure that it's like kind of like close to like the black line. Yeah. Yes.
What about for text? Like, would you still say not to use actual black?
Yeah. I think like not using actual black and not using actual white are like pretty like common tips for like web design, because of like how like blaring they are. So that your eyes can like relax a little bit, especially because of how much people use like technology now. Yeah. Okay. So let's say that we have like a perfect color scheme. Here's our color scheme. So let's apply it to a website. This is my website. Doesn't it look so great? You can say no. So what are some things that we think are like wrong with this? Yeah. It's not very visible. Yeah.
It seems like the error message is not very like apparent in what it's saying.
The error message isn't very apparent. It's like being like aired out by like the other colors, right? Any other comments? Any personal preferences? No? Okay, well, personally, I don't like how the entire like right side is just yellow on like blue text. It's like it kind of hurts my eyes because of how like bright it is. So let's fix it. So here's like a new and improved version of the website, and you'll see that we're still using the same color scheme with like the blues, the reds, and the yellow even, but it's definitely to like a lesser extent, and I would say it's like more aesthetic. So what are some major changes that have happened. Well, the yellow's gone. The yellow has been changed into the error message, and now since it's on like a white background, the yellow stands out a lot more. So now the error message stands out a lot more, right? What else? And go back. This is what it was before. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. So just to recap what was just said, the contrast is a lot better on this website, and so it's like a lot easier to read and also like easier on the eyes. Did I see another hand? Yeah.
I just think that like the blue and white is easier to differentiate the two sides of the screen, the blue and yellow. I
Mm.
think the blue and yellow are still like somewhat like brighter or darker in some ways.
Yeah. Um, I would agree. Like the blue and white combo is a lot nicer than the blue and white, or wait, the blue and white combo is a lot nicer than the blue and yellow combo. And also like going back to what we were talking about with like vibes, I feel like this just makes me very panicked. Like, because it's just like, oh, there's so much happening. I need to like do something. But then the blue and white combo is a lot more like soothing and like more like calm. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Uh, so we also like to like match color schemes with our images. So for example, like, sorry, um, here it's a lot more of like neutral tones, and there's also like a big image with like yellow and orange. And so when we're creating a website, we would like to use those as our like, give me a second. We would like to use those as our like highlight colors or spot colors. And so, yeah, like choose your, so sorry. Kelly, can you take over?
Okay, I don't really know where we left off, not gonna lie, but I'm gonna try to pick it up because I taught this last semester. Essentially, what's really important when working with colors is that you have a cohesive theme. So you wanna match your color scheme with your images. So as you can see here, in our images, in our main hero section, we have those chairs with the brown, yellow colors. We also have some accent colors with the blue, red couch. It still has it, so nothing looks out of the ordinary, but I would still say it's pretty cohesive. Does anyone have any ideas on like why they chose these images, on the color palette, any opinions? Anything is valid. Hmm. So you would say the contrast is very jarring, perhaps? Yeah, I think everyone has a different opinion when it comes to choosing colors and what looks good to the eye. I think design, while there are a lot of rules and can teach you a lot of things, at the end of the day, it's very much objective. If you like it, you like it. Some people don't like it, some people don't like it. So while a general rule of thumb, match your color scheme with your images, it doesn't really matter as long as you like it. Any more questions? That's kind of the end of our color theory lecture, but if anyone has any general questions, I can answer. Yes. Kind of. I think white is a little bit easier to work with. Honestly, like this is actually just like white. White is a lot easier on the eyes just because it reflects light versus like pure black, which is like 000 something like that, I think. It'll like absorb all of the light. And even when we say like don't try not to use pure black in design, there are a lot of websites that still use pure black. I'm also sick, as you can tell. But I think you can just use pure white. If not, you can just use like a very off variation, but I don't think we have a standardized of it. Good question though. Any other questions? If not, then I will have the attendance thing linked up once I end this Zoom.
How do I end this Zoom? David, how do I? Way to go.